Welcome back, everyone, to the After the Scales podcast, episode 44, presented by DJD Graphics. I'm Jacob Dove of Phenom Motorsports, along with Shaun Blight of Canadian Racing Tours. On today's podcast, we have some pre-show to the Charlotte World Finals coming up here. We have DEMETRIOS DRELLOS, driver the number 111 out of Queensbury, New York, in the Big Block Modifieds. DEMETRIOS, thanks for being on the podcast today.
Oh, no problem. No problem. Thank you for having me.
So obviously, me and Shaun are going to be at the World Finals. We're really looking forward to it. Obviously, you're no stranger there. You had some great runs last year. Talk about your season overall in the Big Block Modified and what you're looking forward to most.
It wasn't as good as 2023. That's for sure. 2023 we won 2 track championships. We had some ups and downs. We definitely showed as much speed as we had and more, and we found some stuff and got better. And I think that, there were definitely some moments where we had to figure ourselves out a little bit. And, we definitely wrangled it back in towards the end of the year at our home tracks and, at our home track and where when we did race and that showed us some confidence back to where we needed to be. Just got in a little bit of slump in the middle of summer where we just kind of just a little sick of it at that point. And we figured it back out. We got to where we needed to be and do what we need to do. And it just was tough. I think 2023 was such a highlight, and we really built on a lot of notes and got really good, and we capitalized on a lot of things. Then 2024 came, and it was track surfaces changed, and I don't know what happened. Maybe I just became a different driver in a matter of 6 months or whatnot. But what we were doing just stopped working for a few weeks, and then we had to refigure out what did work for us. And we did. We got a good run at the Albany Saratoga Super Dirt Series. I think we led 80-something laps and ended up jumping the cushion or something, coming back, ended up 5th or 6th. So, but it just shows every time we do run with them, we're always up in the redraw and up in the front. So that makes me happy and happy to go into Charlotte with some confidence.
It's really interesting how local drivers, you can race the same track for several years and the track seems to change from year to year, or just you have bad luck or this and that. Talk about your 2023 2-track championships, a bunch of wins. We were just talking off camera. I don't get to see you race a lot here when I mostly go to see the big blocks in Western New York. But the handful of times I have seen you run, you've been up front. So talk about your 2023, kind of what went right. I saw you at Charlotte. You had some great runs there too. And just reflect a little bit on that for us.
It just seemed like in 2023 when we were running really good, and we're still running good. I'm not going to say we're not running good. But in 2023, when we ran at the best we ever have, it just seemed like the track surface at Malta really suited us. The track surface at Fonda really suited us. We really had a lot of notes to go on because the track was consistent for about 3 years at each place, so that helped. So we really came into 2023 with a strong notebook in the spring, and we just were consistent the whole year. We got wins, we got top 5s. I believe if I look back at my stats in 2023, I finished out of the top 10, I think, twice or 3 times at both tracks. So it was pretty tremendous, and we had 2 or 3 good runs at Charlotte last year. I believe I finished in the top 10 each time too, and I got that second. I'm still trying to get that win. It's been about 7 years at Charlotte where I've ran really good and have not gotten a win. So some races I should have won, some races I probably shouldn't have won, but either way, I've been really close. But we were really strong in 23 and had a lot of speed, and we had a lot of notes for how the tracks were for us, and that helped. And then this year at Malta, they changed the track surface a little bit, and I found it. We all know what happened there. They changed the track surface, and that went to hell. But we don't need to talk about that.
Yeah, last year, DEMETRIOS, you actually picked up your first crate late model win in 2023. Obviously, this year, when the Big Block Modified, you've had 32 starts, 3 wins, 8 top 5s, 14 top 10s. Overall, still a solid year, but as far as the crate late model goes, do you think you'll experiment more with that, running that? Because a lot of guys, and the big block modifieds like Max McLaughlin and some other guys have switched over to the late models recently. And do you think that will be more of a thing here in your future?
I think it will be. We're just switching over our crate car to one of the new Rocket 1.2s. And I really do enjoy racing that. I don't enjoy traveling as much. I don't hate traveling because I do it, and I have a lot of fun when I go racing the late model. And the thing is, it seems like a little bit of a breath of fresh air sometimes. I think the modified racing right now is a tad stagnant, just because I feel like we all have the same thing. Even if we all have different results at the end of the night. I feel like if you take the shot covers off everything, I feel like we all have probably within very similar setups, the top 10 cars. And so that makes it very tough racing. Not saying it's not as tough for the late model. It's still very tough. And I got the crate model going pretty good now. And it's fun to go to some new tracks too. And I really enjoy doing that, and the people that were around. We've made some awesome friends. And that makes racing fun too, is having a lot of friends doing it. But we are putting a super together. We're putting a super late together. And that's going to come out in the springtime. It's going to take us a little time to get together. But we got the new engine. We got a new car coming in January. Got a new rear end. Getting all the parts and pieces together. They're sitting on the shop floor. So that'll go. First to crate, and then this. I don't think super late model racing will ever be a full-time thing for me. I don't think that I'll be doing it more than probably 10 or 15 times a year maximum. Just because we're not in the area for it. And it's so hard to pick and choose your points of where you want to go racing and all that other stuff. Logistically, it's tough. But you never say never. You never know what could possibly happen. I could jump in the thing and say, who knows, this is all I want to do. But we are going to have a crate late model and a super late model. And we're going to have a 2-car modified team still to run where we want to do with that and locally. The big cog in the wheel is we don't know what's going to happen with Albany Saratoga. There's nothing set in stone that it's going to be here for 10 years, 5 years, 2 years, or 3 years. We all had that scare this year that it could be going away. And that's the truth of it. And the next closest tracks, to be honest to me, are Fonda, Lebanon Valley, Airborne, Devil's Bowl, which are all great now, but there's only one big block track there, and I really don't want to invest in my 358 program. So we don't really know what big block racing is going to hold in our area very much, in our area. So we're just kind of like, well, late models are a lot of fun, and invest in that right now. So that's what we're doing, and just kind of sitting still on the modifieds.
Awesome. Well, you touched on a lot of things that I think Jacob and I will want to circle back to. First, I kind of want to ask, because I don't know much about you and your kind of upbringing in racing, how you got your start. So kind of talk about that a little bit.
We first of all, I started racing slingshots. I don't know if you guys know what they are, because they don't have them around you, but yeah. They're in Pennsylvania. You might see them at Utica Rome on Flow. But that's what I ran for about 3 years, and we ran those, and then I moved to 358 modifieds at Lebanon Valley, which I don't know, looking back on it, that was the best decision of where to start racing. But it did provide a lot of room for me to learn, so that was one good thing. And after 358s, you all know where I went, and that's big block racing. So I've been doing that ever since. So, but that's really it. I mean, I got started in racing just because my dad was a diehard fan, and I'm a diehard race fan, and a kid with a dream. And there's a lot of those, and I'm very fortunate that I've been able to do it and been able in the position to do it. But my grandfather owned race cars back in the 60s at Fonda Speedway, and they ran all over. So, and that's how our family got into racing. So I'm glad that I've been able to make a small name for myself in my area, and proud of it.
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool that you have this racing dream of yours. And looking back, do you feel like, where you're standing at now in your racing career, that you'd imagine yourself racing against guys like Matt Shepard, Matt Williamson, Stuart Friesen, competing against those guys who are on top of their game? Between Matt Shepard and Matt Williamson, they're both going into Charlotte 16 points apart, and hopefully you're looking to spoil the party and try to run up there and try to get the win. But would you ever imagine as a kid, growing up and getting to compete at the top of the big block level?
No, I never would have. And the thing is, you never can imagine doing it in the way that we're doing it now. It's like what turns into like, oh, we got 1 car, oh, we got 2 cars, oh, we got 3 cars, oh, we got 4 cars now. And it's like, And to think that you unload, when I unload and go racing, you're racing against the best guys that have these cars to do it, and they do it for a living, and they are doing it at the absolute top pinnacle of dirt modified racing. And for us to say that, hey, I'm able to compete against them, maybe not every night, maybe 2 or 3 nights out of 10, but for us to do it not for a living is huge. And to say to a, I wanted to race a car my entire life, but to think about this when I was a kid, to be like, hey, I'm going to do that against them one day, is a crazy thought now that I look back on it. And it's crazy how far things go, and and what things are possible.
We had Tristan Chamberlain on earlier in the week, and he runs the super late models, and he's going to be at Charlotte. And we were asking him, you said you're a race fan. We're all race fans here. You guys don't get to run outside of New York State very often, and you definitely don't get to see the sprint cars and super late models very often when you guys are racing. Just as a race fan, how cool is that event? Do you get to take any time? I know you're busy at the track. Do you make time to watch the other races and pick up what those guys are doing and checking them out?
So it's really cool now because, I don't have a lot of super late model friends, but I have gotten a lot of more that are in the pits now and what it is. And I try to make time to go see them whenever I can. And it's really cool, though, like Charlotte, though, right? I'll be honest, I'm not the biggest sprint car fan, but if there's any place to watch sprint cars, it's Charlotte. Mm-hmm. I don't care what anyone says, it's awesome. Yeah. But the way the event is, right, like as a whole, it was really nice last year, and I think the year prior, where I think we got Wednesday off. Mm-hmm. You could watch the whole thing. And it's great racing to watch. I don't know this year how it's going to be. I usually always get to go watch 1 or 2 features throughout the week, especially if we run first. I definitely get to go and watch usually the late model feature and the sprint car feature, preferably the late model one. But I definitely do get to go enjoy it. I do get to enjoy it more at Volusia than I do get to enjoy it at Charlotte, just because there's more time in between for some reason. I don't know how that works, but it seems like Volusia, I get to see a lot more race than I do at Charlotte. But either way, I really do enjoy watching them because it's not often you get to go watch all 3 divisions happen. Lernerville is actually pretty cool this year. When we went to go do the Steel City Stampede race at the end of this year, they had 410s, super lates, and big blocks here. And it's kind of funny. It reminded me of Charlotte on just a smaller scale. So that was pretty neat to see at a place different than Charlotte.
And speaking of racing fans, to our viewers watching us on our episode, you can go over to the QR code up here in the corner and scan it. It'll take you to Demetrius's Facebook page. He doesn't have a merchandise website, but you can go over and message him to see how you can support him with any merchandise. So take advantage of that. And Demetrius, I wanted to see, we talked to Jack Lehner and Eric Rudolph, some other big block modifieds before. I know Jack's going to be preparing for Charlotte here, but as far as yourself, what are you going into Charlotte expecting as far as, setup? Do you have a pretty good notebook ahead that you're feeling confident going into Charlotte for, a couple days of nonstop racing?
Yeah, I have a pretty good notebook. The track has been pretty consistent there. Last year threw a little bit of a curveball. Probably wasn't the best surface we've all seen at Charlotte. But I think it's still Charlotte. It's a big track, red clay, mildly abrasive. You need a time trial up front. And I think I've pretty much been able to, it seems like whatever I do at Charlotte, I seem to not be able to do any wrong with the setup. So I feel pretty okay going into it. Do I always get nervous? Yeah, of course I do. But I have a good base set up for that place. The thing is, what I've noticed about it is it always reverts back to, by feature time, it always seems to go back to more of our northeast notes by the time the feature rolls around. Because you're going so fast there that when it gets slick, it seems to be like, wow, this is really slick. You're going like Mach 90 there, it seems like. And when it starts to slow down, it's like the car is doing just different things there than it normally would do, than you'd expect it to. So it seems like our northeast stuff, our setup wise, like gets back to where we need to be. feature time. Just qualifying there is the tough part for a lot of people. So just survive that.
And getting away from the racetrack a little bit, I mean, you touched on kind of a bit of your plans for 2025. After Charlotte, what do you have planned? Big block modified season is over. I know there's I don't know if there's some short track Super Series stuff still going on, but what's your plan post racing season in 2024 and then gearing up for 2025?
So the fun part is I don't think racing season really almost seems to stop if you really try hard enough. I think we're gonna go. I've registered for. I'm not 100% positive yet if I'm gonna go yet. Still, there's a race at Alltech for $100,000 to win in the crate late model in December. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna do it yet, but I signed up for it, so I registered. They took my money, so then we're gonna go to Sunshine Nationals, usually with the crate late model again in January, and then probably go to a couple races right after that during crate speed weeks, and then I'm not 100% positive we're going to bring the big block to Volusia this year, just because it's so logistically tough sometimes that, like last year, we brought it all down there for 4 races, which is fine. That's what we signed up for. But if you want to get the whole experience of racing, you want to race more than 4 times to bring your whole operation down there. So, but I'm not sure. I've done it the last few years, and it doesn't set you behind. It's just a lot of moving pieces to do it right. So after that, those are pretty much my winter races, and then wait till early spring to race some more late model races again. But other than that, that's pretty much my winter off-season plans.
And for myself down here in Florida, I'm hoping you come out to the Alltech race. It's going to be a huge event, a lot of money on the line. And if not, hoping that you make it down to Volusia. I'm always excited when the big block modifieds come down to Volusia. It's a great racing there. But as far as for yourself, Demetrios, looking kind of towards the future, obviously you've accomplished a good amount of things, but including the track championships for Fonda and Albany, Saratoga. But what are some goals that you're setting yourself that would really check off your list, that would really solidify, checking some stuff off your accomplishments?
I think this year coming up, let's hit the big one. I've already spoken about it. I really want to get one win at Charlotte. I've been so close. I think I have a few second place finishes there now, and definitely a few third place finishes. And I'd really like to get the win there. And it's no secret to anyone that helps me that's probably my main goal right now. And then and that would also combine itself with doing the second thing that I want to do, which is win another Super Dirt Series race. We won that one in 2019, and we've been close a couple other times, and I'd like to do that just to put another check mark around that. So that's what I'd like to do as my major accomplishments, and win some crate features. I'm not really a championship racer. So it was really big for me to win those 2. We really set our whole goals for those 2 championships. I'm not really a championship racer. I'm more of like a win right now and think about the rest later. So that's more of me. But those are really my main goals. Win at Charlotte, get that second Super Dirt Series win. Do some more crate late model racing, get better in that, and get a couple big wins in that. That'd make me pretty happy. And who knows what else happens. I just would like to win some bigger races and do some more things like that. Winning weekly stuff is fun and all, but yeah, to be good and to prove yourself is you want to be able to say you beat Matt Shepard and Stu and Williamson at a larger event. So that's what I'd like to do.
All right, I got one on you got the super late. You're working on that. I know the Lucas Oil Series came out with their schedule just a week or 2 ago. Do you have any races penciled in with that for 2025?
Basically, how I look at it is if World of Outlaws or Lucas is coming to Pennsylvania, I'm going to try and be there. If they're coming to Pennsylvania or even Eastern Ohio, I'm going to try and be there. I know my mom wants to go to Eldora with it. I'm fortunate that we bought a really good engine, so we should be able to do that. So I think we might have a start at Eldora. And I'm not trying to win or anything. I just want to go race. That's all I want to do. I mean, the speed gap between a regional racer and a professional late model racer is huge. So the speed gap between me and a professional racer will be huge. So I mean, I'm not saying I'm going to get in and be terrible or who knows, but those guys are really good, and I want to be able to race against them. So I'm going to go if they're close. So I'm looking at Port Royal, Lernerville, all those close tracks to us. That's probably what we're doing. Who knows? Maybe next year we'll bring it to Charlotte. I'm not sure. We're going to see how we're doing and racing and see how everything goes. So those are my plans.
Well, Demetrios, you've been really grateful with your time here. I know we always enjoy having some big block modified guys come on. I know we talk a lot of sprint car and asphalt sprint car and dirt sprint car guys. So we really appreciate your time. I know Sean's going to have our DJD Rapid Fire segment questions, so I'm going to pass it over to Sean.
Yeah, Demetrios, before we let you go, we always end with our DJD Gear Rapid Fire segment. We got 10 questions here for you. So we'll start with one that I'm curious about. Why the number 111?
That was my grandfather's numbers when he owned cars. And a few, and say their names. Kenny Shoemaker and Pete Corey drove back in the day 111 and 111A. So that's how I got my number.
All right. So aside from any family, who were some of your racing heroes growing up?
Jack Johnson, Brett Hearn, Jeff Gordon. Those are probably the big three right there.
All right. What's the best thing to do in Queensbury, New York?
Jesus. Whoa. Well, you can go just north of us and go to Lake George. That's a lot of fun. You can go skiing at the local mountain. That's fun. Other than that, that's pretty much it.
we always like asking that one for guys from smaller towns. Okay, you got the super late model coming out next year. Going to try that. Are there any other race cars that you haven't raced yet that you would love to try? Even something that can't happen, won't happen. Is there anything you would love to get behind the wheel of just once?
I'd race a sprint car. I would. I know my wife and my mom would probably swap me for thinking about that, but I'd race a 360 or a 410. I really don't care. I'd try it. I'd have to. You got to.
Right.
So that'd be fun. And of course, so I'd like to try a NASCAR. I hate saying it, but I'd try it. I'd do it. I mean, if you had the opportunity to, who wouldn't say yes? So some sort of NASCAR Cup or Xfinity or Truck Series, who wouldn't try it? Right. But those are it.
What's a track the big blocks don't race on that you wish they did?
Oh, I could tell you about 10 that I've said this all summer. I think I think the big blocks should go to Eldora. Yeah. That's one. I think there's no reason why we don't have a race at Eldora. Just one Super Dirt Series race, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. All right, your favorite musical artist of all time?
The Beatles.
All right. Do you have any superstitions at the racetrack?
No, not particularly. No, I know my mom doesn't let me put my race shoes on the counter, but that's about as close to superstitions we get.
All right. Your favorite things to do away from the track?
Be with my wife and son. That's probably number one.
All right. So we're recording this the day after Halloween. What was the last Halloween costume you wore?
Oh, I couldn't even tell you. I don't even remember. I don't remember a lot of them, to be honest. I know I had some pretty good ones though.
All right, last one. I don't know if you get a whole lot of time to explore, but when you guys go down to Charlotte, what's your favorite thing to see?
I know this sounds really like there's a bunch of them out there, but I like going to Bass Pro. We spend a lot of time at Bass Pro. We'd probably go there. I bet you 2 or 3 times just to walk around.
Well, I think you and Jacob just became best friends.
I like going there. It's a lot of fun. There's always you know what? You get sucked in there. You spend 2 hours in there. It's like.
Better hide your wallet too.
Yeah, leave it in the car, actually.
Yeah. All right, Demetrios, we really appreciate having you on. Like we said, Jacob and I are both going to be down at Charlotte. So we'll come by and say hi, and we're wishing you the best of luck. Hoping you get that first elusive win at Charlotte. That'll be really cool.
Perfect. Thank you.
So we want to thank Demetrios again for being on today's podcast. We're already on episode 45, and we want to thank everyone for 200 subscribers.
Yeah.
Just at 100, and then all of a sudden we're at 200. So we really appreciate all of everyone's support for subscribing, liking, viewing all our content. We really appreciate it. We got a lot more content coming up. We're going to be filming a bunch at Charlotte. So stay tuned for behind the scenes and the pits, and then some fun content too with some of our guys. So, but yeah, we have some exciting stuff coming up to episode 50. And Shaun, you want to share a little, secret about what's coming up?
Yeah. So, kind of starting around episode 50, I think Jacob and I, we put our heads together. We want to start a Guess the Guest segment where each one of us will bring on a guest and the other one will have no idea who it is. And they'll have to guess with, 5 clues or so who that guest is. So I think I've got someone lined up, and I don't want to jinx it or anything, but it'll be really cool. So hoping we can do this maybe every 10 episodes or so, and Jacob and I will trade back and forth. But just something to kind of stir it up, shake it up, make it a little different. But it'll be really, really cool.
Yeah, definitely stay tuned for that. I know there's going to be some big guests, so you don't want to miss it. And coming up here on the next segment, we're going to have Danny Sams III. Obviously, he's been busy. Got to have a lot going on for already 2025 plans. So we're going to have him talk with us about his exciting giveaway and explain the details on that. So, we appreciate everyone for supporting us, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
After the Scales is proudly presented by DJD Graphics. From commercial and personal vehicles to racing bikes and cars of all makes, models, and disciplines, DJD Graphics can fully customize your vehicle to suit your needs. For more information, contact Darren and visit his website at www.djdgraphics.com. Tell him Shaun and Jacob sent you to receive special rates.